Hey BTP fans, Robbie here for another one-on-one with the artist. Today I'm joined with
Andy.
And we have an awesome army for you guys to look at today. This is a Circle Orboros army.
Alright, let's see, we'll start with this Warp Wolf over here. He was actually magnetized to be all the three different types. So I had to basically just match the painting. He wanted a white wolf though, color scheme. And then just kind of, for the whole project, the client wanted a very accentuated feel on the arcane effects of the Circle army. So like here, he has the green glow in his eyes. Basically wanted the normal color scheme. So just kind of like worn leather, brassy armor with the green main color. But this guy's pretty much just pretty generic there. I like all the muscle tone on him. Very easy model to paint because he's so ripped. His muscles have a lot of definition. It's pretty easy to dry brush, and the layers show up real nicely on that one. Over here, I don't actually know what this one's called, but it's like her pet or something. I don't know.
Spirit animal, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was pretty cool. He wanted an astral, kind of ghostly appearance to the wolf, and this is the best I could come up with, a greenish astral effect. So it's kind of like this, I went for kind of like a ghostly blue, almost as if it would fade into a mist look, highlighted where appropriately. I really like doing that. I didn't really know where to go with, but I liked how it turned out. Her name?
Kaya.
Kaya, that's right. She was really cool. I didn't know how to do kind of a cool effect on her until the very end. I actually, you can kind of see the glow right down here. I drew a rune on her hands, and then I did the glow effect coming down on her robes, as if she's summoning some sort of arcanic spell. So I kind of liked that. But yeah, just basic color schemes. She turned out real well. Over here, the blood trackers, same thing. They wanted a green glow effect on the tips of all the weapons. Kind of turned out looking almost venomous to me. But I guess if you know, that could be a part of their arcane feel anyways. They're very like wild-born, very like forest-like. But these guys all turned out really cool. I like how the color scheme. It's very drab, very like homely-ish. Almost native look, yeah, I really liked painting this army. A lot of different cool colors to go with, and good popping moments such as the arcane effects and the gold armor. All right, here we have that wolf going for the astral kind of ghostly effect. What I'm going to start right now is just dry brush, so you can kind of pick out the details. But I'm going to go ahead and do the fur and skin, starting out with a scurvy green. And this is basically just a pretty heavy dry brush. And I like to wipe my paint off on my hand, just so I can actually feel the control and how much paint I use. And then you don't have to really be too careful right here. You just kind of whip it up. You want to leave black, if not barely any of this scurvy in the most recessed areas, because you want to see a lot of, what's the word I'm thinking of? Contrast, that's right. So, except for, I guess, in the tail and the fur, you want to make sure you get in there. Otherwise, when you're dry brushing over that about a few layers, eventually you're just hitting like the very top parts, and you want to be able to see as much colors as possible within those tails. But yeah. And to avoid from just going like a monotonous kind of green up to a highlighted green, like yellow, I wanted to throw in a color that'd be kind of appealing to the eye, and it goes really well with this kind of feel and this color of green. That's going to be turquoise, I believe. Yeah, it's turquoise. It's a bluish green. Complements really well with this color. And with this one, basically just a layered highlight, but applying dry brush with a dry brush. I'm going to leave the scurvy in all the very recessed areas and just hit kind of not really zenithal, just basically every raised area, because it's a ghost apparition. It's not necessarily getting its light from a source. It's just almost as if it's its own living source. So at least that's the approach I took. I'm just gonna change up brush really quick. Yeah. So this one, not so heavy. Make sure you get those ribs. The arms comes out, definitely all the fur. Knuckles, tendons, stuff like that. But like any other kind of layering or any other dry brush, you don't want to fully cover up your previous color, otherwise what was the point? With the mouth and eyes, you can go two directions actually with it. I'm just going to go with highlighting the raised areas, but you could also reverse it and do the glow coming within the mouth. That is actually kind of cool. I've done it before, but it's a little bit more difficult because you have to change it up. You can't just dry brush in there. You have to start like putting washes and highlight from within. It's a little bit more difficult, but it has a cool effect. All right. So now you're starting to get your mixed colors in there. Next color I'm going to be using is what is it? Foul green. I really like to use these color combinations. They just somewhat go together really well. This is kind of going back more to the green side. I don't really know why, it just looks good with these colors. And now I'm starting to hit, sometimes I actually don't, for blending purposes, don't even wash out my brush. I just kind of get the rest of my paint off as much as I can, dry brush, and then move it straight into this. It actually blends a little bit smoother. It's almost like dry brush blending rather than wet blending. Kind of has that same effect. But now I'm going to try and focus, it's almost more of a ghost, just a little heavier of a ghost on parts you really want highlighted. I like to go for just specific muscles, those ribs, definitely the tail. Claws work really well. There's not really a right or wrong way to highlight with this color. You just kind of choose where it is. Because I like to imagine if it's like an apparition, a ghost figure, you know, it's not even a solid object, so the lighting can change on it at any point in time. Very like a spiritual being. All right, and then now I'm going to wash out my brush, and ahead of time when I was going to paint this, I knew I was going to want to wash it to kind of bring the colors back in. So now I'm just going to do an extreme highlight. Before I do that wash, it's kind of a washy glaze, because I know it's going to tone it back down. I'm going to jump up to a pale sand. On the previous wolf I painted, I actually even went up to white after that. Not necessary, but I just wanted to go for one more layer of highlight there. And this one is really just a touch. Like, you don't need a lot of this. In fact, don't do a lot of this unless you like that effect. But this is just to really brighten up, basically where you just put that foul green. But it's thin enough that the foul green actually still shows through. And then when I wash it, I'm gonna end up washing it scurvy again, just to kind of tie those colors and put the shadows back in. But yeah. I'm just make a wash with my scurvy. That's a little bit too much. And actually, I think I remember doing this. I'm not sure. But just so I don't like put too much light in the cracks, I'm not sure if I added a little bit of dark Prussian or black. Just to be safe, I'll just add a titch of black just to kind of darken my scurvy. So that way when it gets in the shadows, it's not like, you know, it's no good to wash your model with a lighter color in the shadows. It just looks bad. There we go. You don't need too much, just to make it darker. Yeah. Might have been a little bit too thick, so I'm watering my wash back down a little bit. Oh, you'll definitely want to do this step first as well because it's messy. Then you can actually go in detail and do like the armor plates and stuff. But this step you definitely don't want to leave last just because of all the dry brushing and the washing you'll want to do. Now I'm actually drying my brush off a little bit, or rinsing it off so there's no paint, and just dry it off so I can just kind of go back over places that I thought was a little bit too heavy. It just pulls the wash out a little bit, so it still leaves those bright highlights, colors underneath. Technically, if I made my wash perfectly, I wouldn't have to do that, but I think I was a little bit too thick. So yeah, still see a lot of the colors in there. You basically just let that dry. I kind of like the look of how it's turning out right now. If it's not bright enough, you can go back in with the pale sand, the foul green, and kind of just highlight it up a little bit more. That turns out pretty good. If it's still too bright, you can always wash again. Another way you wash it, like I said, with a dark Prussian, it puts a little bit more blue tone in the cracks rather than just the dark scurvy, but that's basically how I achieve the kind of astral effect.